Hey everyone, Jaime here. I'm kind of giving an update. Actually, I'm probably going to go ahead and announce that the dual-core project that I was working on, was my first video that I posted, that I got a motherboard, it had a CPU, it was a dual-core, and what I wanted to do was I kind of wanted to rebuild it, repurpose it, and make a little Linux box, or had some sort of Linux distribution on there that I could use and actually use some of the use it as to be on par as far as today's computing would be concerned, where you could take an old system and have it able to run certain things. I was getting real close. A couple months back I was able to get the rest of the parts. I got me a case and memory and everything, and I started putting it together. I was actually recording some video about me putting it together. I tried to put another CPU in. Unfortunately, that new CPU did not want to take. It just said that it just was the front side bus was not fast enough, which is, I don't quite understand, because it is. And I went as far as to try and see if the BIOS was updated, and the BIOS has already been updated. I also still had problems where the BIOS would be reset at a it would be reset, and I always had to reset the BIOS settings every time the computer was unplugged from power, and it wasn't maintaining the BIOS settings. And I went into Church Online. It said to go ahead and leave it running for 48 hours. I was planning on wanting to do that, to give it some time. I was digging around. I got it to a point where I had a Linux operating system already installed. I went with, I believe it was Mint, and I was kind of trying to see if I can get it going, and I was able to install a game on there from GOG, which was the Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, and it didn't want to run, and I was able to finally figure out what was the problem. It was a missing file that I actually had to get, because it was missing some 64-bit file in order for it to run, and I was actually able to run it, and I was actually playing Baldur's Gate. I was playing Baldur's Gate on this dual core. It was the Enhanced Edition. And then I was also trying to get an emulator running, Nintendo emulator. I was going full force trying to get this thing going, but there was still some problems. One, I had to go back to the original CPU that I came with. The BIOS settings was always getting reset every time the computer was unplugged. I had a power outage at one point, and I had to go and reset. That included the clock. The clock always got reset to 1900. So upon further, I found out that the motherboard that I got, even though it was able to power up, I found out that one of the capacitors, and it passed by me when I first got it, because when I first got the motherboard, I kind of looked and see if everything looked good, if there was any problems, any burnout, any blown capacitors, and apparently there was one capacitor that I did not look hard enough, that it actually did have where it started bursting. I actually have the motherboard here. This is the actual motherboard that I got from eBay, and it worked when I got it. I even replaced the battery, thinking that the battery was the issue, but still it didn't really fix anything, until when I looked a bit further, that it was this capacitor right here. It doesn't look like it's blown, but when you actually take a lot closer look, it actually started having a bump, and I could see that there was some residue that I've seen before with blown capacitors. So this probably would be the reason why I started having some of those odd issues. The only thing, there's another one that is just like it over here, and I could tell from it that it's not blown here. This one, it is blown. I could tell that it's a little swollen, and it doesn't look as perfect as the other one. So I have several options. I could try and recover this board by soldering. I do have a soldering iron, but I've never soldered anything in my life, and it could be a learning experience that I could try and do. I didn't pay a whole lot for this board. I think I paid only less than $20 for it, so I could technically try and get it going, but I'm just going to go ahead and put this to the side for now and consider this project pretty much a loss for now. I could come back to it in the future, but again, this is going to take some time where I'm going to have to kind of look up to see how to learn how to solder and pretty much play with this. And I'll have to also get me a new capacitor of the right type and try and put it on there and see if I can get this capacitor replaced. Again, it's a shame. You know, the board was working, but again, some qualms about it. And again, I had to put the original CPU it came with. It wouldn't recognize the one I wanted to upgrade to. And I was like, well, what seems to be a problem? I tried resetting the BIOS. I tried playing around with the settings, see if I can try and get it to work. But because it didn't like the CPU, it didn't want to even bother getting past to where I could load a new operating system or anything. Because when I tried to load an operating system, it kind of came back saying, oh, there was a problem, there was a failure. And I don't know, this is a shame, because I was getting all into getting this. I mean, face value, it kind of sort of works, because again, you could get the system running, but you have to leave it plugged in all the time. If it got unplugged, you have to go and fix the BIOS settings, because the BIOS settings will get reset. And so if you have any customization, that's it. It literally, you lose those settings. So, and to be quite honest, it was getting, you know, I'm just a little upset that you know, this is pretty much putting a halt on it. So I kind of consider it to be a half a victory, because I was able to at least put an operating system, a Linux operating system, and at least getting it running to where it could have gone even further. I was thinking about even going to a different operating system, which was Linux Lite, because I was actually liking that one a bit better than Mint. But but sad to say, this wasn't going to work. The biggest problem I had with this board, and it was that it had no PCI Express 1s. It only had two regular PCI slots and two PCI Express 16s. You could only really utilize one of them. I could literally try and put two, but I would have to get two of the same graphics card. The other thing is, I did have some PCI expansion cards that I wanted to utilize, that I have some PCI cards that I don't want to get rid of, because I've enjoyed them. I thought they were the best in the world, and trying to get rid of them means like, oh, because I've bought these cards. They've been the greatest in the world, and I was hoping that this would, and that was one of the things why I wanted to get this thing working and resurrected, because I really wanted to utilize those PCI cards and making sure that they were still being used at some point, that where I could use those cards. I'm going to do a video one of these days about those cards, like PCI cards that I just refuse to throw out, because I've worked with them for so long, and I don't want to get rid of them. Anyway, so, but all is not lost, because one of the good things that happened within the last month is I upgraded my personal computer build. I actually upgraded from a Ryzen 5 2600 to a Ryzen 9 3900 XT, which is a big upgrade, because that's more computing power. I've removed the 2600. I still have it. The memory I also upgraded, because I was running 2666 DDR4. Now I'm at 3200 DDR4. So I have the memory and the CPU, and I have a case which was meant for this guy. So really, I could actually build myself another system utilizing some of the stuff that I bought. the case. The case cost me about $25-$30 actually, somewhere around there. And I had also reclaimed a power supply because my sister needed a new PC, so I gave her a hand-me-down of one of my first Dells that I bought back in 2013. It was an iCore 5 third generation. I think it was a 333, I think it was, or a 533. I can't remember right. You know, it was the third generation, but it was a 333, I believe, or a 335. So I had that machine. She needed a PC because her old one just basically died. They never took care of it. The fan was so clogged up. I tried to even get that motherboard working, and thinking that maybe I can get this older PC project going again, but unfortunately it did not post, and I don't know whether it was the CPU or the motherboard. That I'm also putting to the side because I'm probably gonna have to need to find an AMD, an older AMD processor, because I was using an AMD processor. I think it was an FM3 socket. So that's another one that I might tend to see if I can resurrect that one as well. But the power supply that I put in that Dell I actually took out and put back the original OEM because the 600, she wasn't going to need a 600 watt power supply. All right, that was just so I put the original 400 watt power supply back on there. I went to go see her today, and she loves the computer. I mean, it's probably night and day compared to what she had. She had an HP, and since I've taken care of my stuff, and I really do take care of my CPUs. I treat them like if they're like a member of the family almost. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take that Ryzen 5 2600 that was in my original, that was in my build, my personal build, and I'm going to go ahead and build me another system to kind of be the replacement for that iCore 5 that I used to have. I also have an iCore 7 Dell that I also had prior to the Red Rio that I have now, that I'm also going to put on the side. Actually, that one's probably going to go into the game room because I'm actually want to use that as some sort of game emulator, something to have in the game room, so if somebody wants to come over and play some CPU games, they can actually play it on that, along with some of the other older systems that I have in the game room. This one's going to be more of, let me have a system for me to use. Also, I have a Windows license, an actual retail Windows license that I've recovered. Well, hopefully I can recover, which I should be able to, because my mom, well, she had her hand-me-down computer, and I wanted to upgrade her to a Windows 10, and I successfully was able to do that and get her going. But she her PC, she got tired of it, and when I went to go visit her, she put the PC outside for a couple of days, and some of the parts that I put in were lost, unfortunately, but I was able to recover the hard drives and stuff like that. But since the motherboard is lost, I'm hoping that I can go ahead and recover that license, and I should be able to. I'm probably gonna have to call Microsoft to say, hey, I had a replacement of the motherboard, but this is a retail license, and I should be able to get that back. Anyway, so I'm gonna start working on this. I'm gonna hope to see more videos get posted here in 2021. Again, I've not been posting a whole lot because I've been busy at work. We got a big major project I've been trying to help get through, and plus I had Japanese class. Japanese class is going to actually start up again, and that's probably going to take one of the days of the nights during weeknights that I have to attend. And I don't know, I'll be able to find time. I'm starting to be much more better in management at my time, so let's just see. Other than that, that's all the really full updates I got. I'm also going to be posting some unboxing. I think I've actually recorded my first unboxing. I just got to put it together, edit it, and then put some music on it and throw it out there. Also, I installed a heatsink. I tested out a heatsink that I bought from Amazon. I should probably edit that together and post it up and saying about what I thought about this heatsink and did it really help out on my M2, my secondary M2 drive that I have on my current build. Well, hopefully I'll be getting all that stuff within the next couple of weeks, and I hope forward to see if any of you guys want to make any comments, whatever. I would appreciate it. Also follow my channel if you want to. I really would appreciate that. Alright, this is Jaime signing out, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.